Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we are diving deep, deep inside you.
That sounds a little invasive.
Well, not literally, of course. We are going to take a close look at your digestive system, or as it's formally known, the gastrointestinal system.
A system that we all rely on every single day.
Absolutely. And while we all know the basics, this deep dive is going to uncover some pretty amazing things. We're using this detailed PDF as our guide, which is called the gastrointestinal system.
And it's really fascinating. What we'll see is that digesting food, it's a real team effort. Your entire body gets involved.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning, that very first bite. What happens?
Well, the adventure begins in your mouth, of course. First, your teeth get to work, grinding, chewing, breaking that food down into smaller pieces.
Like a little food processor.
Yeah, exactly. Then saliva comes in, which helps to moisten everything, making it easier to swallow.
But saliva does more than that, right?
You bet it does. Saliva actually contains enzymes that start breaking down starches right there in your mouth. So the chemistry is already starting before we even swallow.
Absolutely. And once you do swallow, that mashed up food, which is called a bolus at this point, it travels down the esophagus.
The esophagus, a muscular tube that leads to the stomach.
Yep. And it's not just a passive tube. It uses muscle contractions to move that food along. It's called peristalsis.
Peristalsis, like a wave pushing the food down.
Exactly. And then right at the entrance to the stomach, there's a special valve called the lower esophageal sphincter.
Oh, that sounds important. What does it do?
It makes sure food only goes one way, down into the stomach.
That makes sense. We don't want it coming back up.
Right. And once that food, that bolus, reaches the stomach, things get really interesting.
Yeah, the stomach. I always picture it as like this churning vat of acid.
Well, you're not wrong. The stomach is a muscular J-shaped sac that mixes and churns the food with gastric juices. Gastric juices, which are pretty potent, with hydrochloric acid and enzymes.
Hydrochloric acid. Wow, that sounds intense. What's it doing in there?
It's a powerful substance. It helps break down proteins, and it also kills any harmful bacteria that might have hitched a ride with your food.
Wow, so it's kind of like a sterilization chamber as well.
Yeah, you could say that. And the acid also activates an enzyme called pepsin, which plays a key role in digesting proteins.
So it's like a carefully orchestrated chemical reaction.
It is. But then the question becomes, how does the stomach protect itself from all this acid?
Yeah, good point. You would think it would eat itself.
Well, the stomach lining actually produces a thick layer of mucus.
Mucus.
Yeah, it acts like a shield, protecting the stomach from that harsh acid.
It's pretty amazing how our bodies have all these safeguards built in.
It is really incredible. Now, by the time the food's been in the stomach for a while, it's transformed into a semi-liquid mixture.
Semi-liquid, that sounds appealing.
Well, it's called chyme. Not the most glamorous name, but that's what it's called.
Time, okay. So where does the chyme go next?
It's gradually released into the small intestine.
Ah, the small intestine, where all the nutrients get absorbed.
Exactly. But before we follow the chyme there, we need to introduce a few other key players. The accessory organs.
Okay, the supporting cast, who are they?
We've got the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. They all play a role in this digestive production.
Okay, so let's start with the liver. What does it do?
The liver's pretty amazing. It filters toxins from your blood, it stores energy, and it produces this substance called bile.
Bile.
Yeah, it's a greenish-yellow fluid that helps break down fats.
Interesting. So where does the bile go?
That's where the gallbladder comes in. It's basically a storage sac for bile.
Ah, so when you eat fatty food, your gallbladder releases bile to help digest it.
Right on. And then we have the pancreas. It's tucked behind the stomach and produces a powerful cocktail of digestive enzymes.
Digestive enzymes, those are the things that break down food, right?
Yep, these enzymes break down carbs, proteins, and fats.
Wow, so bile from the liver, enzymes from the pancreas, they all meet up with the chyme in the small intestine.
Exactly. That's where the real magic of nutrient absorption happens.
Okay, tell me more about the small intestine.
Well, first of all, it's long. Really long, about 20 feet.
20 feet.
Yeah, coiled up in your abdomen. And all that length gives it a huge surface area for absorption.
So it's not small at all.
Nope, not in length anyway. And the inner lining is covered in these tiny figure-like projections called villi.
Villi.
Yeah, they increase the surface area even more. Imagine it like a giant folded sponge.
Okay, so the villi are like tiny little nutrient grabbers.
Precisely. They absorb the digested nutrients from the chyme.
And then where do those nutrients go?
Inside each villus is a network of tiny blood vessels. So the nutrients get absorbed into the bloodstream and transported throughout your body.
It's incredible, this whole system working so efficiently.
It really is. And of course, not everything we eat gets digested.
Yeah, what happens to the stuff that's left over?
That's where the large intestine comes in. It's the last stop in our digestive journey.
Okay, the large intestine, also known as the colon.
Right. And its main role is to absorb water and electrolytes from the leftover waste.
So it's basically processing waste and keeping us hydrated.
Pretty much. And, even in the colon, there's more going on. It's home to a massive community of microbes, trillions of bacteria, viruses, fungi.
We've all heard about the gut microbiome, so these microbes, they are in our colon.
They are.
Mm.
And they're not just along for the ride. They actually play a huge role in our overall health.
Okay, so we'll need to dive into that more. But for now, I think we need to take a break.
Sounds good. We'll be back soon to explore the amazing world of the gut microbiome.
And we're back, diving deep into the fascinating world of the digestive system. Last time, we left off with that cliffhanger, the gut microbiome.
Yeah, trillions of tiny organisms living inside of us.
It's pretty mind-boggling when you think about it.
It is, and what's even more mind-boggling is just how much influence these microbes have on our health.
So we hear a lot about having a healthy gut microbiome, but what does that actually mean? What are those microbes doing in there?
Well, they're busy little guys, that's for sure. They help us digest certain types of fiber, the kind that our bodies can't break down on their own.
Okay, so they're like backup digesters.
You could say that. They also produce certain vitamins, like K and some B vitamins.
So they're like little vitamin factories in there.
Exactly. And one of their most important roles is in training our immune system.
Training our immune system.
Yep, they help the immune system tell the difference between good stuff and bad stuff, so it doesn't overreact to harmless things.
So it's like they're teaching our immune system how to behave.
In a way, yeah. And there's even research suggesting that a healthy gut microbiome might help prevent some chronic diseases.
Like what kind of diseases?
Well, things like obesity, type 2 diabetes, even certain types of cancer. It's a growing area of research.
So these little microbes are pretty powerful, but what happens when things get out of balance?
That's when we start to see problems. It's called dysbiosis, when there's an imbalance in the gut microbiome.
Dysbiosis, that sounds kind of ominous.
Yeah. It can be. It can lead to all sorts of issues, from digestive problems like bloating and gas to more serious stuff like inflammatory bowel disease.
So it's like an internal ecosystem gone wrong.
Yeah, a good analogy. And it can affect our immune system too, making us more prone to infections or even triggering autoimmune responses.
And I've heard that dysbiosis can even impact our mental health.
That's right. The gut and the brain are constantly communicating. It's called the gut-brain axis.
The gut-brain axis.
Yeah, so when the gut's out of whack, it can send signals to the brain that affect our mood, our behavior, even our cognitive function.
So that gut feeling is a real thing.
It is, very much so. When the gut microbiome is off, you might experience anxiety, low mood, brain fog, things like that.
Makes you wonder, is it the chicken or the egg? Like, does stress cause gut problems, or do gut problems cause stress?
It's probably a bit of both, to be honest. It's a two-way street. But the good news is that we have a lot of power to influence our gut microbiome.
Okay, so how do we do that? What can we do to improve the balance of our gut microbiome?
Well, diet plays a huge role. It's all about feeding the good bacteria, giving them what they need to thrive.
So what should we be eating?
A diverse range of plant-based foods is key. Think fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds.
So variety is important.
It is. Aim for at least 30 different plant-based foods per week. That might sound like a lot,
It does.
but it's easier than you think. Just
Yeah.
try to mix things up. Add berries to your breakfast, snack on bell peppers, experiment with different leafy greens.
So rainbow on your plate.
Exactly. And don't forget about fermented foods. They're a great source of probiotics.
Probiotics, those are the good bacteria, right?
Right. And fermented foods, things like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, they all contain live probiotics.
So we're essentially adding good bacteria directly to our gut.
Yep. It's like giving your gut microbiome a boost.
I love the idea of that. Okay, so diet's important, but are there other things we can do?
Absolutely. Managing stress is crucial. Stress can wreak havoc on our gut microbiome.
Yeah, stress never seems to do anything good.
It really doesn't. So finding ways to manage stress, things like mindfulness meditation, yoga, spending time in nature, that's important for gut health too.
And sleep, that's got to be important too, right?
Absolutely. When we don't get enough sleep, our gut microbiome suffers.
So we should aim for...
7 to 8 hours of quality sleep per night.
Okay, got it. And what about exercise?
Exercise is great for gut health. It helps stimulate gut motility, keeps things moving along.
So another reason to get moving.
It is. Now, one thing to be mindful of is antibiotic use.
Antibiotics.
Yeah, while they're essential for treating bacterial infections, overuse can really disrupt the gut microbiome.
So we should be careful with antibiotics.
Definitely. Only take them when prescribed by a doctor and follow the instructions carefully.
So it's all about balance, right?
Hmm.
Eating well, managing stress, sleeping enough, exercising, being careful with antibiotics.
Exactly. It's about making those gut-friendly choices a part of your everyday life.
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the digestive system.
The grand finale.
Exactly. So we've talked a lot about the importance of a diverse diet, especially for that gut microbiome.
Yeah, feeding those good bacteria.
But can we get a little more specific? What does a diverse diet actually look like in practice? How do we get those 30 different plant-based foods per week?
It's really about thinking beyond the usual suspects.
Mm.
Like, sure, apples and bananas are great.
But there's so much more.
Exactly. We got to branch out, explore different colors, flavors, textures.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Okay, how about berries? Throw some blueberries, raspberries, strawberries into your yogurt or oatmeal.
Okay, that's easy enough.
And bell peppers, they come in all sorts of colors.
Right.
Red, yellow, orange, even purple.
I do love a good bell pepper.
And then there's root vegetables. Roast up some sweet potatoes, beets, parsnips. So much flavor there.
Oh, yeah. Roasted veggies are the best.
And leafy greens, don't forget those. Spinach, kale, collard greens, mix it up.
It's like a rainbow on your plate.
Exactly. And then there's legumes. Lentils, chickpeas, black beans.
Oh, beans are a good one. Lots of fiber there.
Tons of fiber. And don't be afraid to try new grains, too. Quinoa, wild rice, barley, get adventurous.
So it's all about getting out of that food rut.
It is. Now, what about fermented foods? We touched on those before, but I want to emphasize how important they are.
Yeah, those probiotic powerhouses.
Exactly. They deliver beneficial bacteria right to your gut. And there are so many delicious options out there.
Like, what are your favorites?
Well, I love a good yogurt in the morning. Kefir is great, too.
I've heard of kefir, but never tried it.
It's like a drinkable yogurt, kind of tangy.
Okay, I'll have to give that a try.
And sauerkraut, kimchi, those are fantastic. They add a nice tang to salads, sandwiches, grain bowls.
I love kimchi, especially in stir fries.
It's so good. So many ways to get your probiotics in.
Okay, so we've got variety, we've got fermented foods. What about fiber? We all know it's important for digestion.
It's essential. Think of fiber as like a scrub brush for your gut.
Yeah.
Keeps things moving along.
Preventing constipation.
Yeah, exactly. And it feeds those good bacteria, helps them flourish.
So it's like a 2-for-1 deal.
It is. And it's not that hard to get enough fiber if you're eating a balanced diet.
But any tips for sneaking in a little extra?
Sure. How about starting your day with a high-fiber breakfast? Oatmeal, high-fiber cereal, even add some chia seeds or flaxseed to your yogurt.
Okay, that's doable.
And when you snack, reach for fruits, veggies, nuts, seeds, instead of processed stuff.
Makes sense.
And simple swaps can make a big difference. Whole grain bread instead of white bread, brown rice instead of white rice.
Easy changes.
And don't forget legumes. Beans, lentils, chickpeas, they're all fiber superstars.
I'll try to remember that. Now, something we haven't talked much about is sleep.
Ah, sleep. So important.
What's the connection to gut health?
Well, when we don't sleep enough, our gut microbiome gets out of whack.
Seriously.
It's true. Sleep deprivation leads to inflammation in the gut.
So a good night's sleep is good for your gut.
Absolutely. Aim for that 7-8 hours. Create a relaxing bedtime routine. Avoid caffeine and alcohol before bed.
So basically, treat your gut like you'd treat yourself after a long day.
Exactly. Give it that rest and relaxation it needs.
Okay, now for the mind-body connection. We've talked about the gut-brain axis, how stress affects the gut.
That two-way street.
But can you explain a little more about how the gut influences our mood and behavior?
Sure. You see, the gut microbiome, it actually produces neurotransmitters. Things like serotonin, dopamine.
Wait, those are brain chemicals, right?
They are, and they play a huge role in regulating mood, motivation, even focus.
So when we say we have a gut feeling about something, it's not just a figure of speech.
Nope, there's a real connection there.
Yeah.
A healthy gut microbiome, it can actually lift your mood, while an imbalanced one can make you feel anxious, down, even foggy-headed.
It's pretty amazing, but also kind of scary.
I get that. It's like your gut has a mind of its own.
It kind of does. So what's the bottom line? What can we do to take care of our gut?
It really comes down to those gut-friendly choices. A diverse diet, fermented foods, managing stress, getting enough sleep, staying active, being mindful of antibiotic use.
Sounds like a recipe for a healthy life in general.
It is. And remember, this is a lifelong journey. Every step you take towards a healthier gut is a step towards a healthier you.
Well said. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey through the digestive system.
My pleasure.
And to everyone listening, we hope you learned something new about the amazing world inside you. A healthy gut is a happy gut, and a happy gut is a happy you.